Zarathek pressed her four-fingered hand against the cold metal wall of the ship. The whisper of stars shook again and sparks flew from the control panel near her head. She ducked and covered her large, dark eyes. The ship was dying and she was alone. 3 hours ago, her crew had run away. Captain Veltar had ordered everyone into the escape pods when the main engine started making terrible noises. He told Zarathek to come with them, but she refused to leave. Someone had to try to fix the ship. Someone had to try to save all their research data from the past 2 years. Now she wished she had listened to the captain. The ship floated in the worst part of space that anyone knew about. The Galactic Council called it the Void Sector. Every spacefarer in the galaxy knew the stories. Ships went into this area and never came back. The few crews that did return talked about strange things they saw. They spoke of voices in the walls and machines that stopped working for no reason. Most of them went crazy. Zarathek was a Velthari, and her people were known for being smart with machines. But even the smartest Velthari engineers avoided this place. The Void Sector had been marked as forbidden for 300 years. No trade routes went through it. No military patrols came here. It was empty space where bad things happened. She looked at the air reading on her wrist device. 6 hours of breathing left. Maybe 7 if she stayed very still. The life support system was failing just like everything else. The backup power would not last much longer. Zarathek crawled through the narrow hallway to the communication room. Most of the screens were dark, but she could see one small green light still working. The emergency beacon system was still alive, barely. She had studied this type of equipment in school, but she had never tried to fix one that was this badly damaged. Her small hands worked quickly. She pulled out broken pieces and connected wires that should not be connected. She used parts from a food heater to make the signal stronger. It was not the right way to do it, but it was the only way she could think of. The Velthari were proud people. They had built some of the most advanced ships in the galaxy. Their homeworld was famous for its universities and research centers. But all of that knowledge could not help her now. She was 47 light years from the nearest planet with people on it. Even the fastest ship would take weeks to reach her, and nobody would try because of where she was. Finally, the beacon started working. A weak signal went out into space, carrying her voice and the ship's location. Zarathek sat back against the wall and spoke into the microphone. "This is Research Vessel Whisper of Stars, registration number V7749. My name is Zarathek, Engineer Second Class. My crew has abandoned ship in the Void Sector. Main engine has failed. Life support failing. I need help." She stopped and took a deep breath. The air tasted stale and thin. "I know nobody comes to this place. I know the stories about ships that disappear. But if someone hears this message, please help me. I do not want to die alone out here." The beacon would repeat her message every 10 minutes until the power died. Zarathek turned off all the lights she could find to save energy. The ship became dark and cold. She could hear strange noises in the walls, but she told herself it was just the metal cooling down. She thought about her family back home. Her parents were both engineers too. They had taught her to never give up when a machine was broken. "Every problem has a solution," her father always said. "You just have to be smart enough to find it." But some problems were too big to solve. Some problems needed help from others. Zarathek closed her eyes and tried to rest. The ship continued to shake and make worrying sounds. Outside the small window she could see the stars, but they looked wrong somehow. They seemed to move when she was not looking directly at them. She had heard about this in the old stories. The Void Sector played tricks on your mind. She tried not to think about the stories of crews who went insane. She tried not to think about the ships that were found empty, floating with no one inside. She focused on the sound of her own breathing and the quiet hum of the beacon, sending her message into the darkness. Time moved slowly. The air got thinner. Zarathek checked her wrist device again. 5 hours left. She thought about the research they had been doing. The Whisper of Stars was studying old radiation patterns at the edge of the Void Sector. They had found some interesting things, but nothing that seemed dangerous. The captain had been careful to stay outside the forbidden area. Then the engine started making noise. First just a small vibration, then louder sounds, then a terrible grinding that made everyone afraid. The chief engineer said it was a cascade failure in the quantum drive. Nothing could stop it once it started. The ship would lose power and drift until the life support failed. The captain made the right choice. He saved his crew, but Zarathek could not leave all their work behind. 2 years of careful measurements and discoveries. All of it would be lost if the ship was abandoned. Now it looked like the research would be lost anyway, and she would die too. The beacon kept sending its message. Every 10 minutes her voice went out into space asking for help that would never come. The void sector was too dangerous. No captain would risk his ship and crew to save one foolish engineer who should have left when she had the chance. Zarathek got up and walked to the main control room. Most of the displays were dead, but she could still see the sensor readings. Empty space in all directions. No ships, no planets, nothing but radiation and dust. She sat in the captain's chair and looked out at the strange stars. Her people believed that when someone died far from home, their spirit had to find its own way back. She hoped that was not true. She hoped death would just be like going to sleep. The ship shook again, harder this time. A pipe burst somewhere and she could hear air hissing out. She found the leak and managed to stop it, but it used up precious time and energy. 4 hours of air left. Zarathek returned to the communication room and checked the beacon. Still working, still sending her message into the void. She added one more transmission, speaking slowly and clearly. If anyone finds this ship after I am gone, please tell my family that I tried to save our research. Tell them I was not afraid. And tell them I am sorry I did not come home. She turned off the beacon to save power. There was no point in calling for help anymore. No one was coming. She was alone in the most dangerous part of space, and she was going to die. But at least she had tried. At least she had not given up without fighting. Zarathek curled up in the captain's chair and closed her eyes. Around her, the whisper of stars continued its slow dance with death in the cold emptiness of the void sector. Zarathek woke up when the communication panel started making noise. At first, she thought she was dreaming. The sound was coming from the main radio, not the emergency beacon. Someone was trying to talk to her. She crawled over to the panel and turned up the volume. Static filled the air, then a voice came through clearly. Unknown vessel, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the UES Tenacious. We have received your distress call and are changing course to your position. Please respond if you can hear this message. Zarathek stared at the radio. This had to be a dream, or maybe her mind was playing tricks because of the bad air. Nobody came to the void sector. And she had never heard of any species called human before. She pressed the talk button with a shaking hand. This is Zarathek on the Whisper of Stars. Are you real? Is someone really out there? The response came back quickly. We are very real, Zarathek. My name is Sarah Chen. We are human. I know you probably have not heard of us before. We will reach your position in about 4 hours. Can you hold on that long? 4 hours. Zarathek looked at her air readings. She had less than 3 hours left, but maybe she could stretch it if she stayed very still and breathed slowly. I have limited air, she said into the radio, but I will try to wait for you. Please be careful. This is the void sector. Ships disappear here. Strange things happen. There was a pause, then Captain Chen's voice came back. She sounded calm and not worried at all. We appreciate the warning, Zarathek, but we have been mapping this area for several months now. It has some interesting features, but nothing we cannot handle. Just hang tight. Help is coming. Zarathek could not believe what she was hearing. This human captain talked about the void sector, like it was just another part of space. Every civilization in the galaxy feared this place, but these humans had been exploring it for months. What species are you? Zarathek asked. I have studied xenobiology for years. I know all the spacefaring races. I have never heard of humans. We are relatively new to this part of the galaxy, Captain Chen replied. We prefer to explore areas that others avoid. Empty regions, dangerous zones, places where the maps say, here be monsters. We find that those are often the most interesting places to visit. This made no sense to Zarathek. What kind of people looked for dangerous places on purpose? Every smart species avoided risk when they could. Exploration was important, but not if it meant getting your crew killed. Captain Chen, you said you would be here in 4 hours. How is that possible? The nearest star system is 47 light-years away. Even the fastest ships take days to travel that distance. Another pause. We use different technology than most civilizations. Let's just say we have learned to take shortcuts through space. The important thing is that we will reach you in time. Zarathek wanted to ask more questions, but she was getting dizzy from the bad air. She needed to save her strength. Thank you for coming, she said. I will try to stay alive until you get here. You will make it, Captain Chen said, and she sounded very sure. We have rescued people from worse situations than this. Just focus on breathing slowly and staying calm. And Zarathek, you did the right thing by staying with your ship. A lot of important research data would have been lost if you had left. How did the captain know about their research? Zarathek had not mentioned it in her distress call, but her thoughts were getting fuzzy, and she could not focus on the question. She turned down the radio volume and tried to rest. Every few minutes, Captain Chen would call to check on her. The human's voice was steady and confident. She talked about simple things like what the weather was like on her home planet and what kind of food her crew liked to eat. It helped Zarathek stay calm. Time passed slowly. The air got thinner and thinner. Zarathek had to concentrate just to breathe. She started to see things that were not there. Shapes moving in the corners of her vision, voices whispering in the walls. "Captain Chen," she said into the radio, "I think the void sector is affecting my mind. I am seeing things. That is normal," the captain replied. "The lack of oxygen makes you hallucinate. Try to focus on my voice. We are almost there." Almost there. But it had only been 2 hours since first contact. How could they travel so fast? Then Zarathek saw lights outside the window. Not the strange moving stars of the void sector, but the bright white lights of a ship. A real ship was actually coming for her. The vessel that appeared was unlike anything she had ever seen. It was sleek and smooth, with no sharp edges or unnecessary parts. The hull was dark gray with blue markings that seemed to glow slightly. It moved through space with perfect control, like a living thing swimming through water. Whisper of stars. "This is the Tenacious. We are alongside your ship. Prepare for docking." Zarathek watched through the window as the human ship extended a docking tube. The connection was made with gentle precision. She heard the sound of air pumps working and felt the ship shake slightly as the two vessels locked together. Her radio crackled again. "Zarathek, we are sending over a rescue team. They will bring emergency air supplies and help stabilize your ship. Just stay where you are." The airlock door opened and 3 figures in spacesuits came through. They moved quickly but carefully, carrying equipment and air tanks. The lead figure removed their helmet and Zarathek saw her first human face. The woman had short brown hair and dark eyes that seemed very alert. Her skin was a light tan color and she smiled when she saw Zarathek. She looked friendly but also very competent. "Hello, Zarathek. I'm Commander Rodriguez, Chief Engineer of the Tenacious. Let's get some fresh air in here first, then we'll work on your ship." The humans worked with incredible speed and skill. They connected portable air systems and immediately the ship's atmosphere began to improve. Zarathek took deep breaths of clean, rich air and felt her head clear. While Commander Rodriguez worked on the life support, the other 2 humans examined the broken engine. They spoke to each other in quick technical terms, but they also used hand signals and seemed to understand each other perfectly. "This is interesting technology," one of them said to Zarathek. "Velthari engineering is very advanced. We can fix this, but it will take some time. Would you like to come aboard our ship while we work?" Zarathek nodded. She was curious to see what human technology looked like, and she was still weak from breathing bad air for so long. Commander Rodriguez helped her through the docking tube and into the Tenacious. The human ship felt warm and comfortable. The hallways were wider than on Velthari ships, and everything was designed to be easy to use. "Welcome aboard," Commander Rodriguez said. "Captain Chen is waiting to meet you properly. She's very interested in hearing about your research." As they walked through the ship, Zarathek saw other humans working at various tasks. They all looked different from each other. Different skin colors, different sizes, different facial features. But they all had the same alert, confident look that she had seen in Commander Rodriguez. These humans had saved her life by coming to the most dangerous part of space. They spoke about it like it was no big deal. And now they were fixing her ship with skills that seemed almost impossible. Who were these people? And how had they learned to do things that no other species could do? Captain Sarah Chen was waiting in the main meeting room of the Tenacious. She was smaller than Zarathek had expected, with gray hair and laugh lines around her eyes. But when she spoke, her voice had the same confidence that had kept Zarathek calm during the rescue. "Please sit down," Captain Chen said, pointing to a comfortable chair. "You have been through a lot today. How are you feeling?" Zarathek sat carefully. The human furniture was designed for a different body shape, but it was surprisingly comfortable. "I am alive because of you and your crew. I do not know how to thank you enough." "No thanks needed," the captain said with a smile. "We help each other out here in space. That's just what people do. A human crew member brought them hot drinks. The liquid was dark brown and smelled rich and pleasant. Captain Chen called it coffee. Zarathek sipped it carefully and found that she liked the taste. I have so many questions, Zarathek said. I have never heard of humans before. Where do you come from? How long have you been in space? Captain Chen leaned back in her chair. We are from a planet called Earth, about 200 light years from here. We have been exploring space for about 100 years, but we only reached this part of the galaxy 20 years ago. But why have none of the other species encountered you? The Galactic Council knows about every spacefaring civilization. We prefer to avoid the main space lanes, the captain explained. Most species follow the same trade routes and explore the same systems. We find it more interesting to go where others do not go. Empty regions, dangerous areas, places with bad reputations. Zarathek shook her head. That seems very risky. Why would you seek out dangerous places? Captain Chen laughed. I suppose it does seem strange. But humans have always been explorers. On our homeworld, we climbed the highest mountains and crossed the deepest oceans. We went to places where other creatures could not survive. Space exploration is just the next step. But the void sector, Zarathek said. Every civilization knows the stories. Ships that disappear, crews that go insane. How can you map this area safely? Would you like to see our maps? Captain Chen asked. She touched a control panel, and a three-dimensional image appeared in the air above the table. It showed the void sector in great detail, with safe routes marked in blue and dangerous areas marked in red. We have been working in this region for 8 months, the captain continued. We have found the source of most of the problems that other ships experience. It is not magic or curses. It is old technology. The image changed to show the location of Zarathek's ship. Around it were dozens of small objects marked in red. Automated defense systems, Captain Chen explained. Very old, probably built by a civilization that died out thousands of years ago. They were designed to keep other species away from something important. Zarathek studied the display. Defense systems. But they do not attack ships directly. No, they use psychological warfare. They send signals that cause fear and paranoia. They also interfere with navigation systems and cause equipment failures. Most species panic and flee, or they go crazy from the stress. How do you resist these effects? Captain Chen smiled again. Humans seem to be naturally resistant to this kind of mental attack. We get nervous, but we do not panic easily, and our technology works on different principles than most civilizations, so the interference does not affect us as much. The door opened, and Commander Rodriguez entered the room. Captain, we have finished the emergency repairs on the Whisper of Stars. The ship is stable and life support is working normally. Excellent work, Captain Chen said. How long for full repairs? About 6 hours to get the main engine working properly. But there is something else. We found some very interesting research data in their computer systems. With permission, I would like our science team to take a look. Zarathek was surprised. You were able to access our data systems already? Velthari encryption is very good, Commander Rodriguez said. But we have experience with many different types of technology. We did not read anything without permission. We just confirmed that the data is intact and very valuable. Captain Chen looked at Zarathek. What kind of research were you doing? Radiation mapping, Zarathek replied. We were studying unusual energy patterns at the edge of the void sector. We thought they might be natural phenomena, but now that you mention old technology, they are not natural, Captain Chen said. Those energy readings are coming from the main control center for all the defense systems. We have been trying to locate it for months. You want to shut down the defenses? Eventually, yes. This region of space has valuable resources and scientific discoveries. But more importantly, we do not like the idea of ships being lost because of ancient fear machines. Commander Rodriguez pulled up another display. We have been disabling the defense systems one by one, carefully so we do not trigger any backup weapons. So far, we have cleared about 30% of the region. Zarathek was amazed. You are doing this just to help other ships. What do you gain from it? Captain Chen and Commander Rodriguez looked at each other and both smiled. We gain knowledge, the captain said. We learn how the old systems work. We discover new technologies, and we make space safer for everyone. But do you not want to claim this territory for your own people? Humans do not think that way, Commander Rodriguez explained. We do not want to conquer or control other species. We just want to explore and learn. If we can help others while we do it, that makes us happy. This was unlike anything Zarathek had ever heard. Every species she knew competed for resources and territory. Wars were fought over mineral rights and strategic locations, but these humans seemed genuinely interested in helping others, even species they had never met before. "There is something else," Captain Chen said. "We could use a good engineer who understands both our technology and council systems. Someone who could help us work with other species when we are ready to make formal contact." "You want me to join your crew?" "Only if you want to. We would take you home first, of course. But if you are interested in exploration and discovery, we could offer you opportunities that you would never find working for the council." Zarathek thought about this. Her whole life had been planned out for her. Finish her engineering degree, work for a research institution, follow the safe and predictable path that all Velthari took. But these humans offered something different: adventure, discovery, the chance to solve problems that no one had ever solved before. "What would my family think?" she asked. "Velthari do not usually leave our home systems." "That would be your choice to make," Captain Chen said gently. "We would never ask you to give up your family or your culture. If you joined us, you would always be welcome to visit home whenever you wanted." Commander Rodriguez added, "We have crew members from different species, though not many. Most prefer the safety of established civilizations, but some, like you, are more interested in pushing boundaries." Zarathek looked around the room. The human ship felt alive with purpose and energy. Everyone she had met seemed happy and excited about their work. They were not just exploring space. They were making it better for everyone. "Can I think about it?" she asked. "Of course," Captain Chen said. "Take all the time you need. For now, let's focus on getting your ship fully repaired and getting you safely back to council space." As they talked, Zarathek realized that her life had changed completely in just a few hours. She had gone from dying alone in the most dangerous part of space to sitting safely aboard an advanced ship, talking with people who seemed to do impossible things every day. These humans were unlike any species she had ever encountered. They were brave without being reckless, confident without being arrogant, and generous without expecting anything in return. Maybe her father was right. Every problem did have a solution. You just had to be smart enough to find it, or brave enough to look for help in the places where no one else would go. Over the next few hours, Zarathek learned more about the humans and their amazing ship. Chief Science Officer Dr. Maria Santos showed her the laboratory where they studied the ancient technology they found in the void sector. "Look at this," Dr. Santos said, pointing to a strange metal device on the examination table. "We found this in a derelict station about 50 light-years from here. It is part of the network that controls all the defense systems." The device was beautiful in a strange way. It was made of metal that seemed to change color when Zarathek looked at it from different angles. Symbols were carved into its surface, but they were unlike any writing she had seen before. "We call them the Builders," Dr. Santos explained. "We do not know their real name because we have not found any of their language yet. But they were incredibly advanced. They built all of this probably 10,000 years ago." "What happened to them?" Zarathek asked. "We think they left this galaxy. Maybe they evolved beyond the need for physical bodies. Or maybe they just moved on to explore other places. But they left these defense systems running to protect something important." Dr. Santos led Zarathek to another room where a large display showed the entire void sector. Red dots marked active defense systems, blue dots showed the ones that humans had safely disabled, and yellow dots indicated areas where they had found builder technology. "The pattern suggests they were protecting a central location," Dr. Santos said. "Probably their main research facility or perhaps a city. We think it is located here." She pointed to an area deep inside the void sector where many red lines converged. "Have you tried to reach it?" "Not yet. The defenses get stronger the closer you go to the center. We need to disable more of the outer systems first, or find a way to communicate with the central computer." Zarathek studied the display. "My research data might help. We were mapping energy patterns that could be communication signals." "That is exactly what we hoped," Dr. Santos said with excitement. "Captain Chen thought your data might be the missing piece we need." They spent the next 2 hours going through Zarathek's research. The energy readings that her team had thought were natural phenomena were actually data transmissions between the defense systems. With this information, the humans could predict where the systems would be and possibly find a way to safely approach the central facility. "This is incredible work," Dr. Santos said. "Your team discovered something that we have been looking for months to find." Zarathek felt proud but also sad. My crewmates will never know how important this data is. They think it was all lost when they abandoned ship. You could tell them, Dr. Santos suggested. When we take you home, you could explain what you found. But Zarathek was not sure she wanted to go home yet. The more she learned about the humans and their mission, the more she wanted to be part of it. Commander Rodriguez found them in the laboratory. The repairs on your ship are almost finished, she told Zarathek. But there is something you should see first. She led them to the main bridge of the Tenacious. The room was larger than any ship's bridge Zarathek had seen, with displays and controls that seemed to respond to the crew's thoughts. Captain Chen was standing at the center, watching a large screen that showed space around them. Zarathek, come look at this, the captain said. We are about to disable another defense system, and your research is helping us do it safely. On the screen, Zarathek could see a small object floating in space. It looked harmless, like a piece of space debris, but the ship's sensors showed it was generating powerful energy fields. Without your data, we would have had to approach that system very carefully, Captain Chen explained. We would have needed days to map its effects and find a safe way to shut it down. But your energy readings told us exactly what frequencies it uses. Lieutenant Kim, the navigation officer, worked at her console. Signal pattern confirmed. Beginning shutdown sequence. The object on the screen flickered and went dark. All around them, Zarathek could feel the ship relax as invisible forces stopped pressing against it. Another piece of the puzzle, Captain Chen said with satisfaction. Thanks to your work, Zarathek, we can now approach the central facility much more safely. You really think my research can help you reach the Builder City? I think your research might be the key to understanding their whole civilization, Dr. Santos said. The energy patterns you mapped show how their technology communicates. If we can learn their language, we might be able to talk to their computers directly. The idea was exciting and terrifying at the same time. If the humans could communicate with Builder technology, they could learn things that no civilization had known for thousands of years. But they could also accidentally trigger defenses that were much more dangerous than anything they had encountered so far. Is it safe? Zarathek asked. Nothing we do is completely safe, Captain Chen admitted. But we take careful steps. We study everything thoroughly before we act, and we always have backup plans. Actually, Commander Rodriguez said, that brings up something we wanted to discuss with you. We are planning an expedition to the central facility. It will be dangerous, but it could also be the most important archaeological discovery in galactic history. We would like you to come with us, Captain Chen added. Your knowledge of Builder energy patterns could be crucial, and your engineering skills might help us understand their technology. Zarathek looked around the bridge at all the human faces watching her. These people had saved her life and treated her like family. They were offering her the chance to be part of something amazing, but it would also mean going deeper into the void sector, into dangers that no one had ever faced before. What about my family? She asked. They will worry if I do not come home. We can send a message to them, Captain Chen said. We can explain that you are safe and that you are helping with important research. We can also promise to bring you home whenever you want to leave. Lieutenant Kim looked up from her console. Captain, we are receiving a message from the Whisper of Stars. The repairs are complete. Thank you, Kim. Captain Chen turned back to Zarathek. Your ship is ready. We can escort you back to Council Space right now if that is what you want. Or I can stay and help you explore the Builder City, Zarathek finished. The choice is yours, Captain Chen said. But I will tell you this. Most people live their whole lives without getting a chance to change the galaxy. You have that chance right now. Zarathek thought about her life back home. Her job at the Research Institute was safe and predictable. She would do good work and live a comfortable life. But she would always wonder what might have been if she had stayed with the humans. She thought about the Builders and their ancient city waiting in the depths of the void sector. No Velthari had ever seen anything like it. The knowledge they might find could advance her people's science by centuries, and she thought about the humans themselves. Their courage, their curiosity, their determination to help others even when it put them at risk. She had never met people like them, and she might never meet people like them again. I want to send a message to my family first, she said finally. I want to tell them I am safe and explain what I am doing. Then I want to help you find the Builder City. Captain Chen smiled. Welcome to the crew of the tenacious engineer Zarathek. The other humans on the bridge clapped their hands together, which Zarathek learned was how they showed approval and happiness. She felt nervous and excited at the same time. She was about to become the first Velthari to work alongside humans. She was going to explore places that no one had seen for thousands of years, and she was going to help make the galaxy a safer place for everyone. It was not the life she had planned, but it was the life she wanted. 3 weeks later, Zarathek stood on the bridge of the Tenacious as they approached the heart of the Void Sector. The journey had been unlike anything she could have imagined. Every day brought new discoveries about builder technology and new understanding of how the ancient civilization had lived. The humans had taught her things that no Velthari university had ever considered. They showed her how to think about problems from completely different angles. Where her people looked for elegant, complex solutions, humans found simple, direct answers that somehow worked better. There it is, Captain Chen said quietly. On the main screen, a massive structure appeared out of the darkness of space. It was not a planet or a station. It was something entirely different. The Builder City was a collection of geometric shapes that seemed to float independently, but were somehow connected by streams of energy. Towers and spheres and pyramids danced around each other in patterns that hurt to watch for too long. Scans show it is about 50 kilometers across, Lieutenant Kim reported. No life signs, but massive energy readings. The whole structure is still active after all these thousands of years. Dr. Santos leaned forward in her chair. The power source must be incredible. We are detecting energy patterns that our instruments cannot even classify. Zarathek watched the city with amazement and fear. Her research had helped them reach this place, but now that they were here, she wondered if they were making a terrible mistake. What if the builders had left their defenses running for a good reason? What if there were things in that city that were too dangerous for anyone to find? Are you having second thoughts? Captain Chen asked her quietly. Yes, Zarathek admitted, but I think that is normal. This is probably the most dangerous thing anyone has ever tried to do. Probably, the captain agreed with a smile, but it is also the most important. If we can learn from the builders, we might solve problems that have troubled the galaxy for centuries. Commander Rodriguez called out from her station. Captain, we are receiving a signal from the city. It is using the same energy patterns that Zarathek mapped. Can we understand it? Working on it now. The computer is trying to match the patterns with known languages. A few moments passed. I think it is a greeting protocol. The city is asking us to identify ourselves. Dr. Santos had been working on builder language for weeks, using Zarathek's research as a starting point. Let me try to respond, she said. Her fingers moved quickly over her controls and a complex energy signal went out toward the city. The response was immediate. The city's lights grew brighter, and the dancing movements of its structures became more organized. New energy patterns flowed between the different sections. It is welcoming us, Dr. Santos said with excitement. The message says something like, "Greetings, young travelers. Enter and learn." Young travelers, Captain Chen repeated. I wonder how it knows we are not builders. Maybe it can scan our technology, Commander Rodriguez suggested. Or maybe it has been waiting so long that everyone seems young to it. Lieutenant Kim looked up from her console. Captain, the city is projecting a docking beacon. It wants us to approach one of the smaller structures. Captain Chen made her decision quickly, the way she always did. Take us in, Kim, but keep all defensive systems ready. The Tenacious moved slowly toward the builder city. As they got closer, Zarathek could see that the structures were even more amazing than they had appeared from a distance. The surfaces seemed to be made of crystal and metal that flowed like liquid. Patterns of light moved through the walls like rivers of information. They docked with a small tower that extended docking arms to grab their ship. The connection was gentle but incredibly strong. Zarathek could feel that they were now part of the city's structure, connected to its power and information systems. Environmental scans show the docking area has breathable atmosphere, Dr. Santos reported. Temperature and pressure are within human normal ranges. The city is adapting itself for us, Captain Chen said. It knows what we need to survive. A team of 6 humans prepared to enter the city. Captain Chen, Dr. Santos, Commander Rodriguez, Lieutenant Kim, Security Chief Thompson, and Zarathek. They wore their best environmental suits and carried every type of scanner and recording device the ship had. The airlock opened into a corridor that was clearly not built for any species they knew. The ceiling was too high, The walls were the wrong shape, and there were no visible controls or interfaces. But as they walked forward, the corridor changed around them. The ceiling lowered, the walls became more familiar, and control panels appeared that looked almost like the ones on the Tenacious. "It is reading our minds," Dr. Santos whispered, "or at least scanning our technology to understand how we like things to work." They walked deeper into the city, following lights that appeared in the floor to guide them. Every room they entered was different, showing new wonders of builder technology. Zarathek saw energy systems that should have been impossible, materials that seemed to exist in more than 3 dimensions, and information displays that put images directly into her mind. Finally, they reached a large central chamber. In the middle of the room was something that looked like a tree made of light, with branches that reached up into darkness, and roots that went down through the floor. The tree pulsed gently, and Zarathek could feel it was alive in some way. "Welcome," a voice said in their minds. It did not use words, but somehow they all understood perfectly. "I am the Keeper of Knowledge. I have been waiting for someone to come who could understand what we have learned." Captain Chen stepped forward. "We are explorers from young civilizations. We want to learn, but we do not want to take anything that does not belong to us. All knowledge belongs to those who can use it wisely," the Keeper replied. The builders understood this. "We left this city as a gift for those who would come after us." "Where did the builders go?" Dr. Santos asked. "They evolved beyond the need for physical existence. But before they left, they gathered all their knowledge and discoveries here. Sciences, technologies, philosophies, arts, everything they learned in millions of years of existence." Zarathek found her voice. "Why did you create the defense systems? Why make this place so hard to reach?" "Because knowledge without wisdom is dangerous," the Keeper explained. "Only those who risk themselves to help others. Only those who explore the dangerous places to make them safe for everyone. Only those people are ready for what we have to offer." The humans looked at each other. They had passed a test without knowing they were being tested. "What happens now?" Captain Chen asked. "Now you learn. And then you teach others." The galaxy is ready for the next step in its evolution, but it needs guides who understand that knowledge should be shared, not hoarded. Over the following days, the crew of the Tenacious explored the Builder City and learned things that changed their understanding of everything. They discovered new forms of energy, new ways to travel through space, new technologies that could solve problems across the galaxy. But most importantly, they learned the Builder philosophy. Knowledge shared freely makes everyone stronger. Exploration should serve all people, not just the explorers. And the universe is vast enough for everyone to find their own path among the stars. When they finally left the city, Zarathek knew that her life would never be the same. She had helped humanity take its first steps toward becoming teachers for the entire galaxy, and she had learned that sometimes the best way to find yourself is to help others find their way. The Tenacious returned to Council Space with Zarathek aboard as their official ambassador. She carried with her carefully chosen pieces of builder knowledge and a message of friendship from humanity. The galaxy was about to discover that there were people out there who explored the impossible places not to conquer them, but to make them safe for everyone. People who believed that the universe was big enough to share. People who answered when someone called for help, no matter how far away or how dangerous the journey might be. As Zarathek prepared her report for the Velthari Science Council, she smiled. Her father had been right. Every problem did have a solution. Sometimes you just had to be brave enough to look for help in the places where no one else dared to go. And sometimes, if you were very lucky, the help that came would change not just your life, but the entire galaxy.